Hey guys, hope you're going well. This is module 3 from our price action principles trading a range series. This is volume, profile, and tools. So what we're looking for in this course is we're giving you the little concept pieces from the ground up that will help you trade a range from a PA perspective. Who would have thought? But you can use each of these individual parts on their own, just in separate trading methodologies as you see fit. So completely up to you, your call, and let's crack on. So disclaimer, guys, please just pause this and have a look. I've harped on about it enough in the last few videos, so please just note that any trades shown in the following content are for educational purposes only. So I'll read the first one and the last one. This content is strictly provided for educational entertainment purposes only, in case I didn't mention it. So you can see that I'm pretty hot onto that, but please pause it, take a look, and we will move on. Acknowledgement, again, I could spend a Golden Globes award here and get the curtain drawn on me, but the 27-18 market is where I got effed over, shut the bed with trading or holding, and then learned how to trade. And yeah, that really gave me an ass kicking, but it gave me the strength to carry on. So Crypto Cred, he has some awesome videos. He's got some brilliant stuff. So go and have a look at him, just YouTube him or check him out on YouTube. Trader Main, same deal, great guy, and cracks on every week with their live stream. And I found his Discord, realized we had a very similar background from who he learnt from. And yeah, hats off to him. Rec Proof, as you guys know, PA legend, he truly inspired me based on what he shared publicly, so thank you very much. Emperor BTC, so he really gave me a voice to share my passion in trading and education. So we caught up about, well, not caught up personally by any means, but we made contact 8 months ago, and from there it's just gone crazy. I realized what I want to do in terms of helping people, and it was just fantastic for him to give me a hand. And Inner Circle Trader, modules 1 and 2, certainly some ICT concepts as he's known in there, and he has got a mentorship going on YouTube shortly. So if you're not sure, just go and Google him or YouTube him, and you can see that all the stuff he's got out there is fantastic. So yeah, we talk about fibs, where I adopted his version for what I do. But look, guys, I'm not profiting from this. I'm not interested in doing this for money. So yeah, I'm just sharing what I've learned from the guy that's out there for free anyway. So it's all good. The goal of the course, as we sort of alluded to at the start, so is to explore in depth each individual relevant puzzle piece that are, in my opinion, critical in gaining a framework of understanding with regard to price action for trading a range. To recap, we'll be exploring the below in the form of modules: market structure and Fibonacci, order blocks and breakers, volume profile and tools, so this module. Then we have ranges and liquidity targets, trade management, and we'll do some psychology in there, and then we'll put it all together. So we'll mesh, meld, mend, whatever you want to call it, all of these above into that, and we'll just have a look at how to take some trades based on that. So with that being said, let's have a squiz. Let's get into the course. So part 1, sorry about that. Part 1, so what is value area trading? So we talk about the value area high, the value area low, point of control, high volume nodes, and then we go part 2, volume profile tools. We talk about the volume profile visible range, value area high, value area low, point of control, fixed range volume profile, same deal. Volume profile session volume, same deal. We talk about a concept of poor highs and lows, although it's mainly a time price opportunity concept. I have noticed some different pieces in it, so you can take a look at that and we'll have a look at it. I don't claim to have discovered any bullcrap layout, but it's just something I've noticed, so take note. And then part 3, the fixed range volume profile and volume profile session volume dynamics. Then we talk about some self-learning and conclusion. With that being said, part 1, what is value area trading? So value area trading, as defined by TradingView, we are using their volume profile tools, so we might as well reference what they are telling us or what they suggest. So the volume profile is an advanced charting study that displays trading activity over a specified time period at specified price levels. The study, accounting for user-defined parameters such as number of rows and time period, plots a histogram on the chart meant to reveal dominant and/or significant price levels based on volume. So essentially, volume profile takes the total volume traded at a specific price level during the specified time period and divides the total volume into either buy volume or sell volume, and then makes that information easily visible to the trader. So as a quick catch, this isn't what TradingView discussed, so I should be clear on that. But this portion here, value area highs could equal shorting opportunities and value area lows could equal long opportunities. We don't talk in absolutes. I never have. I'm not one to say this will happen, that will happen. There's some times when we can expect things to happen, like we talked about the other day with the non-farm payroll with Forex that affects Bitcoin in a series of my Telegram. But you shouldn't be absolute in trading because it's all about probabilities and statistics anyway. So my own words. So what is value area trading? In a given or visible price range, the value area can be defined as being where 70% of the volume has been transacted in a said given or visible price range. The remaining 30% of the volume transacted in a defined visible price range, is known as the overall value profile. At the extremity of a value area are the value area high, the value area low, and these are the top and bottom of the value area respectively. And then within the value area, a point of control can be defined as where the most volume occurred compared to price in a given or visible price range. We'll have a look at this in a second. Outside of a point of control, there can also be high volume nodes. These are similar to points of control, but they're not as strong. And we also have, conversely as well, low volume nodes. So the opposite is true. The value area is not to be confused as the defining metric of how long price traded in an area. Rather, it captures how much volume was traded at respective price levels during a given or visible price range. So time price opportunity, TPO, is what is known as the time-based strength factor of a given instrument or trading pair, i.e. how long price spent trading at that level. Now, I have personally been confused by this concept in the past, mixing up the value area trading volume profile and TPO, but look, you got to right your wrongs and just get on with it. So moving on. So the value area, this is the VPVR tool, and we'll cover this further down. So what we might actually do is just quickly jump to a chart, as I've got one ready to rock and roll. And we will just take a look here. So this is Luna. And as we zoom in here, you can see that I've actually used the fixed range volume profile here to quickly map this out, because by the time I'd gone around and had originally screenshotted the chart, it's thrown me a bit of a wobbly. So we'll have a look at this. So if we go to the top, this describes a volume profile visible range, which we will come back to, but in this particular area, let's just focus on this. So we've got a value area. This is defined, and we've pulled the fixed range from this location out to here, which is using this tool down the bottom here. So you would pull from there, click, up to here, click, and that spits out automatically for you. Now, what I've done in this case is these settings, if you're not too... if it frustrates you by having a wider setting, you can see here that if you chuck 30% on, it actually takes a fair bit of meat off the bone there, and it's hard to see. But just here we're running with 10% width of the box. You can see it's a bit more palatable. What have we got now? So the overall gray area is represented by the whole of the gray box below. The top of the box is in line with the value area, which is the value area high, as denoted by the blue coloring, last blue bar, before the gray. Then we have a value area low, which is the last blue bar before the gray as well. So within this area here, from that blue bar up to this blue bar, that's where 70% of the volume transacted against price in this area. Now, the area outside of this, that in theory is part of the remaining 30%, and so is this area. It's not just a clear cut black and white, And then we have a point of control. The red line represents the point of control where the most volume has occurred within this particular visible range. And you can see before I was saying within a given or fixed range, given being a defined parameter by the volume profile session volume, which usually is for a 24-hour period from 12 till 12 UTC. And yeah, from this particular location, then in this given area as we're measuring, you can certainly see that we have some definition given by value area high, value area low, and the point of control. You can see the point of control here is can offer some support and resistance, and the value area high can also offer a bit of resistance as well. Bearing in mind that because we've pulled this from this location, if we were to pull it a bit closer to here, for example, you see it gives you different parameters. But at that given time, you can see that this was a range high in conjunction with the value area high, and then the value area low essentially didn't change. But the point of control remains in a close area. So yeah, you can play around with that a bit. It helps on when you're mapping out larger timeframes, but without digressing too much, I just wanted to give you an idea of how this actually looks and how I've marked a few things up. Okay, let's just jump back in. So value area highs and lows. So the value area is comprised of the following. Value area highs, the uppermost extremities of a value area, as we talked about. as denoted where the blue and grey bars stop up top. You can do this to any color you want. So further in the course, I've got a yellow coloring. It's completely your call. You map it out with whatever triggers your eye best. Moving on, the value area lows are the bottom most extremities of a value area. So as denoted where the blue and grey bars stop down the bottom, down here. So I threw up this sexy little grey rectangle for you, not bland at all, just so you can see the top and the bottom as denoted. So within that area becomes the value area. So you can see, as I've just mentioned, the value area high and low denoted by the top and bottom grey box. And in this chart to the right, what we've actually done is rather than use 70%, we've actually allocated 68% of the given volume. So if a market was to run down to this location at a 70% area, maybe you might get a front run on this, or you've got an edge on the market somehow, which is quite a ridiculous thing to claim, but you never know. You can start to allocate it so you're not possibly getting front run in future. The point of control, as we have briefly touched on. So the point of control is simply where the most volume occurred compared to price in a value area or a value profile area. You can expect a lot of interest, support, and resistance at these levels. And the point of control is denoted by the red line that traverses across the chart on the previous page and also below in the zoomed in perspective, where it intersects the grey box. Now, the point of control, because that's where price spent the most volume was traded, beg your pardon, against price, then it can, if there's areas where the most volume is traded, then essentially then there could perhaps be a lot of interest in these zones. So you can see that as price comes along through here, we semi-act as a resistance, although you've got to bear in mind that if this is a fixed range volume profile pulled from A to B, that it accounts for all the trading out to here. So you really should bring it back in, and you can see that this probably would have done or offered a similar area of resistance, followed by a bit of support, which, as we do know with the Fibonacci's, that there will no doubt be something there that we could use as a trading opportunity. But in this case, you will see that for what we're looking at here, there is some value in it. High volume nodes. So high and low volume nodes can be defined as areas where significant amounts of volume occurred within a given or fixed value area. It's not the same extent as the singular strongest point of control, but they're worth noting anyway for resistance, support, areas of trouble, etc. So they're not to be confused as a point of control, but they are still certainly areas to be aware of when you're trading. And you can also have a high value node very close to a point of control, so it's best to be aware of them. As you can see here, we've got the point of control, the red line, and there's a high volume node there defined by similar to a swing high or low, if you will, if I can actually borrow that concept. But you can see that here, these bars are flanked by lows. So yeah, similar to like a swing high-ish concept. So look, just bear that in mind as well. Part 2. Now we talk about the volume profile visible range. So here we've got the VPVR, and this is a premium content or premium tool, I do believe, on TradingView. So please just be aware of that. The free one is the fixed range volume profile, but please just check this out. So you can see that as you liven up your chart, and let's go back and walk through this, you can actually click on indicators in this little lovely button here, or search for it. Well, that doesn't work. But you go and click on the indicator, you type in VPVR, and you select visible range. So we've got the handy dandy red dots there to help you. And you move on to the next section, the style, where you can have the 30%. We just covered before that you can perhaps have 10%. That does make it easier on the eye if you want to train yourself that way. Up volume and down volume, what we didn't cover is that those separate colors within the value area will show you which is stronger, the selling pressure or the buying pressure at those levels. But you should be able to make head of that from actually looking at the chart if we're going for a true naked price action, if you will, outside of volume profile tools. So just, check out the rest of these areas. You can do developing point of control and developing value area. I personally don't use these. I just stick to the basics. And you can also see that the VPVR has, in this case, you can muck around with the row layouts, the row sizing, volume up and down, and the value area volume. As we talked about, that's typically 70, but you can have it at 68. So once the volume profile visible range is established, it will sit on the left-hand side here. I'm certain you can get it on the right-hand side. I don't personally use it. I feel it looks a bit cluttered looking from the right to the left. I like to look from the left to the right. Again, it's personal preference. But when you show the VPVR as being visible from your suite of TradingView tools, you will see an image further right. So the premise of utilizing the value range is that the value area high is where price can be interpreted as being overvalued, and the value area low can be interpreted as being undervalued. The mid-range is where price is thought to be fair value, if you will, if you were to draw a mid-range point. It's not necessarily where the point of control is, but for argument's sake, you could perhaps draw or surmise some concepts or some similarities there. So in essence, in conjunction with other confluent factors, you could look to short the value area high or long the value area low. Keyword being could. Remember, we don't speak in absolutes. And looking on this the chart here on the right-hand side, this has got a bit of a funny value area, considering that the volume profile visible range tool will collect everything you're looking at. So it's like drawing a really long or large fixed range volume profile tool from here up to here in this case. But as you zoom in, it will only cater for the area you zoomed into. So if you were zoomed in and only saw that swing high across, then you'd only see the value area for that particular location. Down here though, you can see it's an odd one. We have a high volume node, low volume, high volume, high volume, high volume, low, high with point of control, and then another low one here. And down in this area, you can see that is the criteria there is the low of the value area. And here we've got some high volume nodes, and you can see that the price interacts with these areas, and they can be treated as support and resistance. Here we have that other fancy chart we looked at earlier, so I've doubled up there. Fixed range volume profile. This one is free on TradingView. So again, if you were to come onto the left-hand side here, onto your menu, select the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th down, select the fixed range volume profile, and I'd just chuck a little star next to it, and that comes up as your favorites. Then you have your selections here, so volume profile, width of box, your call again, same with the coloring system, but I do click on point of control as well. And then you can see on the right-hand side here, we've got inputs, the rows, row size, volume, and then value area volume. Completely your call. This is just a setup. It won't affect the metrics too much if you stick with this. So when we look at the fixed range volume profile, so it does work much in the same way as VPVR and VPSV. The only difference is that you select where you would like to apply the value area time band. So I did share something in Telegram yesterday where I showed I think it was the daily or the 3-day, where we're essentially at mid-range of the overall move before the big run up past 20K and to the all-time high. We're actually at 50% mid-range now. So we could draw from that as well a fixed range volume profile using this tool. So on the overall 3-day range, I think we just selected the most recent date, went out to where price before it ran up, to a similar extent to that, and then you end up with where your value area high is, value area low, and you can also see there is a point of control that is underneath the current Bitcoin price action or price levels, and there is possibility to tap that. So it's actually a really handy tool. You don't have to be stuck with it if you're looking for something that's specific to VP visible range. So if you've got that established and you're trying to work out something quite delicate, it can throw you if you're using the VPVR. The VPSV will only work on session volume. So if you want a manual tool, then you can use the FRVP. So you can hear it's like an acronym nightmare when you start to talk about all these things, but you'll understand it as we go. So this is how we use the tool. So once you've selected the FRVP tool, you select the range you want to utilize your tool on. So in this case, we've actually gone and selected from this location. So using the tool, select a point where you would like to anchor the tool over to this location. So then select the other location of where you would like to get a snapshot of the value area within this range. So to anchor the tool, we first select the tool from the menu and then anchor across 2 points. Then if we have pulled from that location to this location, you'll see that usually there's generally a faint background. It's hard to see here, but that will cover you to show you where your actual volume, your FRVP, has been pulled from. Once you've pulled it, we talked about the yellow and blue before. These are sell pressure versus buy pressure. And you can see that we are formed with value area high, point of control, and a value area low. And again, we've tried to keep it uniform with the sexy boring gray box. You can see that that is denoted there. So when you see this, you can start to see these patterns that the tools are essentially, they have the same framework, but it's just up to you as the user to use them however you'd like to your advantage. So in, again, this area, you can see based on the value area high that price is rejecting, but we've also selected from this point back to here. So it's probably not fair as a true representation in terms of offering support resistance. But yeah, look, if we were in this location, we ping from there to there, it would automatically spit out this whole box. And then you could actually perhaps use that as confluence to suggest where you would like to trade. Volume profile session volume, the next one. This is a premium tool. So again, you would select your function section, just type in session volume. So it's weird that it doesn't come up as VPSV, but anyway, and then you just click on volume profile, which is a sub setting anyway, or sub template, and click on session volume. Then you've got here, same sort of deal, width of the box, completely your call. Same with your colorings, tart it up, Joseph's Technicolor raincoat, whatever you want to do. And then you've also got here just with your 68. See, that's the common theme. We're trying to just, it's not an edge, that's pretty ridiculous, but what we're trying to do is just at least give us a bit more clarity. And your row sizings are your call as well. I did have someone actually ask me, in Twitter DMs, for all of these items, I think you should select extend point of control right, because that is your naked point of control. If you're selecting that, then you will be shown the naked point of controls, which we'll look at. So just check through the rest of them. I'm not quite sure. Let's have a quick look in the setups. I don't think it shows it, but you still select point of control on the other fixed range volume profile here as well, but just check that just as a note. So here we go. So the VPSV, the overview. So when selecting the VPSV, you'll be automatically given a series of sessions that are defined as a 24-hour period from UTC 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. that day. So as denoted in the gray boxes. These gray boxes aren't the all-inclusive. This is just a sample to show that within these areas here, there is each of these represents a day, because that is the 1 hour. So there's 3 days in this area. Remember we talked about naked points of control when you extend right? You can see here, and we'll jump into it. I'm kind of jumping the gun, but you can see that price ran up and away, and then comes back down to touch it. So you'll notice there's a series of red lines, funnily enough. Thanks for that. As we just talked about. So please refer to the sentence I just front ran myself on. So also note where the red lines have not been touched, or have been touched, the lines no longer extend to the right. So once they're pinged, they don't show anymore. So here you can see there's clear levels of naked points of control where price has moved away. And then eventually you'll normally find there's one that gets away from a little while over a big move, So price will go up, it'll top out, it'll all-time high, it'll whatever, and then price will shoot, run away, and then when it comes up to tap it, it may come back up there, it may not, but you'll generally find that with the price moving away, you'll probably get 3 of them, because there'll be some Fibonacci relationships that are associated with that, and then price will either run down or perhaps tag the other one. Same going up. So if you just invert this chart, you'll see that price comes down maybe to this level, shoots up, and if there was a naked point of control here, then we may see that price has moved away quickly. And then so you can basically see the volume profile session volume is basically a series of fixed range volume profiles if you manually set these up across a 24-hour period. So if you were to get the fixed range volume profile tool and go there to there from 12 a.m. UTC to 11:59 p.m. and you did it sequentially on each one, you would get this set up. So the VPSV just shows automatically on a daily run how it looks. Here's a detailed look of what's going on within that. So it actually took me a little bit of time to draw this little bugger. So in this detailed breakdown, which is just a zoomed in version of a singular session, remember, so this area here to this area here, it's not based on the 4 hour. It's actually based on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's, maybe it is. Beg your pardon, so I sound stupid, but yeah, look, similar sort of concept. You'll notice the same components as the FRVP and VPVR. So there's a value area high, there's a value area low, and there's a point of control as well. There's just the generic descriptions here, so please take a read of them. And just remember this is where 70% of the volume was traded, and there's the remaining 30% there and down there. So you'll already no doubt start recognizing that the volume profile tools all share the same fundamentals, but are just used in different contexts. So here we go with the naked points of control again. So if you recall a couple of charts back up, we talked about naked points of control, and you can see here that per point 1, each session denoted in the VPSV has the option for point of control listed. So that's the settings we checked before. When price moves away from a point of control without experiencing or interacting with price, it becomes a naked point of control. So I should clarify there. As the point of control is established and price trades below it, if it was in a downtrend, then that means we've moved away quickly. It's not coming up to retest it, so it becomes a naked point of control. The opposite is true for a bullish scenario, where if price traded up and away from a point of control without coming back to retest it, that becomes a naked point of control. So it's just a couple of ideas and options to give you a sense of what it actually looks like. So you can see how many naked points of control have been left in this area. And if you're thinking that based on this area here, up, back down to our favorite fibs, and you can start to see that this level here has been tapped, comes back up for a retest, guess what could happen? Let's have a look. And there you go. So we had an uptrend, but remember we talked about in module 1, we had an uptrend. So this is trending up, then it comes down through this area, comes back up, takes liquidity, and then runs back down in a downtrend, but hits a bullish order block in this zone here, ranges for a bit, and then starts to come up again, hitting all these naked points of control, coming down for a breather, retest of support / order block, and then up she goes again. So I'd be surprised if that one was taken because I think Luna actually went to do an all-time high here, so it probably was. But the gist of it is you'll end up with one last one like this usually, up top or down bottom. You can see it down there playing out. So that price may come back down to tag it, but just bear in mind you probably won't get top or the bottom one tagged if you've moved away quickly, but you can potentially aim for the mid-range. So now you'll notice that after a series of rallies or retracements, it's likely that you'll find one NPOC left. That's the gist of what we're getting at. So it's only really common sense though that there's a high or low that could then be revisited later on. Also note how in the chart showing the NPOCs have been hit as price returns up to them. So fair value comes into play here. And we could expect a lot of liquidity at these levels where price is drawn to and subsequent NPOCs are reclaimed. Remember we talked about them? So it means that price moved away so quickly that guess what breakout traders are going to be doing? As soon as they see this level broken, they're going to start to short. And if that's the case, guess where their stop losses are going to go? There's going to be some up here above these old highs. Same down here, price continues straight through. Guess what's going to be sitting up there? Stop losses. Same with this one, it trades through, sits up here, price is coming up, and it goes straight through. So remember that we will talk about liquidity in the next module, module 4. But in this case, you'll notice that price comes back up. And when price runs really quickly through this, it could either be, sure, it can certainly be an excited buyer, but I dare say that there's a lot of stop losses being hit that are then being converted from triggered, that the orders are being triggered to market sells and price goes up. So that's the nature of the market, but we'll have a look at that more in module 4. So now this is the volume profile, session volume, poor highs and lows. So with VPSV, I find it easy to use as a tool without the price action visible. If we just go back to our friend in the chart, let's go take a squiz at him. And you go up here, click this section, hit the eyeball, and you'll see that price disappears. And if we get rid of this guy here and we hide him, and we chuck on the VPSV, not sure if it'll show us it here because we're quite late in the game. There we go. So we're just missing out here because the price has moved on since I first did the screenshots. But there you go. You can see that it's a bit easier to look at what's going on without the price action, because if you click on it, it can be a bit difficult to try and visualize. So just bear in mind there's a little hack there if you need to, as we're showing here. So although volume profile and time price opportunity, as we talked about, and you'll see Rec Proof, he shares some TPO stuff. So although they're different in the fact that volume profile captures the measure of volume transacted against price, TPO measures the length of time price spent in a given portion of time in a session. So how long did price spend at 49 grand, for example? You know, it'll give you a poor high or poor low if it spends a little amount of time up there and moves long. Look, similar sort of concept here. You know, like it's just something I'm noticing, and it may be right, it may be wrong, but look, as a trader, I guess you got to notice patterns, right? And that's where the first guy started. He was like, hang on, or she, beg your pardon, everyone. You know, they've checked this out and gone, there's a pattern here. There's technical analysis we can do here. But look, it's just about identifying what could possibly work. So have a squiz, you know, like maybe just check out on your own charts. Does this make sense? So like we say, you know, like TPO measures the length of time spent in a given portion of time in a session. So I do still find that the poor highs and lows phenomenon is somewhat justifiable comparison, where some merit is given for these to be filled, as we'll explore. Again, just to clarify, note that I haven't personally seen this concept discussed elsewhere before. They're merely just what I've noticed as a trader, so take from it what you will. No, I'm not claiming this. So the premise of a poor high and poor low is where little volume was transacted compared to the rest of the volume profile. With TPO, it's like we've just talked about, where little time is spent against price. But you can see here we have a wick area, which, let's be honest, it alludes to the fact that there's still liquidity sitting up in that area. You have a big wick here, which has actually just been filled recently with Bitcoin, as we were sort of guessing it would. Wherever a wick generally is where price is going to want to go to, right? Because that means there's generally liquidity located in those areas. So as we look here, there's a real thin little line that shot up quickly, which if we had the price on would be almost wiki, I would assume. And then in these areas up here and here, you can see there's a small area, and just check out the corresponding price action, and we'll have a look at a better example, sorry. And here we've got the red box where there was perhaps a high, a really quick high, compared to the, although we shouldn't be using time to compare volume profile, but look, you kind of know what I'm saying by now. So where we've spent little volume transacted against price in these areas, we can expect that price moved away quickly, but should or could retest. Remember, sorry, could, because we don't use absolutes. So on the right, you can see we're showing poor highs and lows with a red rectangle. These are areas where price shot up quite fast outside of the value area, where we're left with thin blue colored tails in my color system, as I've just said. So remember that the value area based on my coloring again is defined as the gray columns. That's your 70% area, with the remaining balance of volume profile being the blue areas or the tails/columns. So from my observations, a poor high or low will be filled as price seeks to balance itself out. You'll notice in the green rectangles that each corresponding poor high or low is filled as mentioned above. So I also find that where there is a poor high or low and an NPOC, this becomes a great target to work towards in terms of liquidity. So take a look at the second green rectangle from the right, which is this one here. So you can imagine that price, when it comes up, because it's shot up so quickly through this area, we had a naked point of control through here. Price has quickly darted up, and now we're suggesting down in this area that because price didn't transact as much volume against these prices, that in theory, I guess, to kind of throw a TPO spin on it, prices moved quickly away from there, which generally can be filled. So look, take from it what you will. We'll just check out the last one. To show you how much cleaner it is to view VPSV as a standalone rather than with price, see, look at the chart on the right. It's pretty noisy. It's pretty messy. It can be hard to identify what's going on, particularly if you're starting out. And if you've got your setup as 50% or 100% of the width of the box, then it's going to be a nightmare, right? So you're better off just to, well, I say better off, but your call with, clicking that little eyeball, hiding the price action, and then you can make some assessments based on this. So fixed range volume profile and volume profile session volume dynamics. We explore in this section how you can use the fixed range volume profile in conjunction with the VPSV to get an overall higher level view on a high time frame for value profile, value area highs and lows, and the point of control. So for example, the chart on the right shows the VPSV from 6th of December to 22nd of December. The VPSV, as shown, is quite confusing if you're looking for a top-down approach to trading. And what I mean by that is, look at all these points of control and these value areas. Where do you determine the average of them? If you're looking at this and you kind of go, well, look, it feels like in this area here, there's a bit of a point of control that's pretty strong. This is kind of an outlier. Same with these. But where do you define the value area as being? You could kind of draw an average and think that it could be there as a top, and perhaps it's down here as a bottom. But this is how we can introduce the fixed range volume profile to make a bit more sense. So if you pull the fixed range volume profile across the area of interest, so both points of the fixed range volume profile are shown by the blue rectangles. So if you went boonk, hit that one, hit this one, you're going to see what happens next. So the introduction of the FRVP is essentially overlaid on the VPSV, and what we were talking about before as an assumed average for a value area high isn't far from the mark, just looking by eye. Same with the point of control. But down in the bottom here, it's actually not far off as well, to be fair. But the gist of it is that it can be messy, right? So, but we do now have a grasp of an overall picture of where the selected area's volume profile is. So what you're seeing here is essentially the average of the volume profile session volume over this period. And these acronyms, sorry guys, are killing me with pronouncing them and getting them out of my mouth. And is extremely helpful in determining the higher time frame plays. In the next slide, we'll see how the overall fixed range volume profile looks without the volume profile session volume, and how a high time frame value area trading profile is determined that acts as confluence when developing a range. And how much needed does that look? This is our previous chart, which is just the fixed range only. We've removed the VPSV, and you can see that you can now draw the range high I shouldn't say range high, beg your pardon, but I should say value area high and value area low. We can also draw the fixed range volume profile point of control. And then when we overlay price action back on it, look how clean that is. We shouldn't generally use the value area highs and lows to define a range, but they can certainly help. Bear in mind that had we drawn the fixed range volume profile from this point, we would have a different suite and footprint of the fixed range volume profile because it's a different beast. It hasn't had this trading up in this area yet. But based on using this, you can start to determine that if this is a point of control, price is already starting to reject against it. I do believe we actually went up and took this liquidity and then came back down, but it just goes to show that the value area low can potentially be used as a confluence item with some fibs perhaps, and entry for market structure breaks. So if this is the case, you do have a fair value gap in this area, which we'll study in the next module. But as you can see from modules 1 and 2 already, if we were to enter on a fib here to jump back up, maybe we keep ranging, but you can determine. Now, if we were to draw a range low, I would actually draw one through this area here because it feels like it's more suited, but you can still use this as a confluence for an entry. And you can see what we mean by range high is usually a shorting opportunity. Range value area high, sorry, I've just mucked that up again, is usually can be used for a shorting opportunity, and value area low can be used for perhaps a long opportunity. And you can see that here. Price runs up, recovers the bottom of the value area low, hits it again, trades up to the value area high, and so on and so forth. Bearing in mind again, guys, this is kind of skewed because we have measured from here to here. Had we measured out to here, I suspect that we'd be looking at a similar sort of pattern or profile. That's pretty much it. So this is 36 minutes in, and we can start to look at some self-learning. So I know the above is pretty intense information-wise, and the best way, honestly, to wrap your head around it is to put it into practice. Just note, though, that none of what has been shared above should be used exclusively. So you should utilize these tools in conjunction with other items of confluence as we do explore in this course. So note also that the FRVP, the fixed range volume profile, is a free tool on TradingView, whereas the volume profile session volume and volume profile visible range are premium items. So you need to get a paid subscription to get them going. So now, if you've got a premium version, go and have a crack and check out the below items we've explored in this module. So FRVPs, VPVRs, VPSVs, and then the FRVP VPSV dynamics. In the next module, we'll be exploring how the volume profile tools can be used within ranges. So this is more of a warm-up intro into the concept. You can go and play with these, but then we'll start to look in the next module, which is the actual, it's a pretty meaty, hefty one. There was 52 pages in that one, and there's still another 7 to write. So it's about 62-ish, or there was about 65 from memory. I don't know. My maths completely didn't make sense then, but you get the gist. And yeah, we'll start to take a look at that. Guys, this is a real quick intro, to be fair, into volume profile. Johnny Jacks, he's a mate of mine on Twitter. He studies through exo charts and Rect Proof. He uses time price opportunity through Sierra charts. So you can actually see through both of them that there are deeper, well and truly deeper depths that you can take this to, but this is really like the gateway drug, if you will, to help you through on TradingView. So that is a conclusion. Now, the above topic is not intended or expected to be understood in one reading of this document. So although the principles are quite similar in breaking down the key components of time, value area high, value area low, point of controls, naked points of controls, and all types of tools for value area trading, it's all about putting them into practice to understand them. You'll see how we do use them in the final module of the course, and you'll also just have a bit of a sneak preview and an understanding of how we use them in ranges in the next module. The key principle within value area trading is that you build an idea around possibly shorting at value area high or potentially longing at value area low. This isn't to be taken as a given, so we need to see many factors of confluence built and layered into our trades before we take them. So just don't go blindly longing or shorting. Look, it can work, but it's just stupid to, in my opinion. No offense, but you just need to hear it straight up. Don't be silly. Just build some confluence, work out, let's get to the end of this course and see these layers that we can put in that can perhaps put a trade in our favor. So still to go in this course and also covered, we've ticked off market structure and Fibonacci. We've done order blocks, breakers, and fib dynamics. We've done volume profile and tools in this one, and we still have got ranges and liquidity targets in the next module, trade management and psychology in module 5. Then we've got putting it all together. So that one just wraps up every little thing in these items. It'll be a big one, and we will see how to take trades long and short based on all of these factors and how to look for trades. And there's my contact details. So if you're not following me on Twitter, please go on. If you find there's some value in this, of course, give me a follow. And Telegram, come join us. We've got 3,000 plus people where I do a bit of live trading, but it's not to be mistaken for live calls. I don't do that. It's just mainly for educational purposes where you can follow me along with some trades that I share as we explore and utilize some of these concepts. And of course, if you're watching this, you've already seen me on YouTube. So if there's any value that you think has been brought your way, look, hey, I'm going to do the old cheesy, give us a like and subscribe. So anything you can do to help is great. That's all from me, guys. I'd like to just thank you for your time and listening to me again for another 40 odd minutes. And just go take some time to say hi to your mum for me, say hi to your family, look after your mates, and we will look to work together on the next one. So again, thanks. Over 2,000 subscribers on YouTube now, and it's just mind blowing. So we'll chat soon. Thanks, guys.